Hello, welcome. How you guys doing to the Sunday live stream? We probably won't be here very long tonight because I didn't really have anything planned. Um, in terms of like what am I watching, what am I doing? I'm not done with the first season of Batman the animated series. I have finished Spider-Man the animated series. The quality of these two shows could not be more different. But tonight I'm just gonna like riff on something that has been thrown in my face for like hours and hours and hours. And that is anytime I go on Twitter, I end up face to face with this Adam 22 situation. And these people I didn't know existed until this week. I didn't know these people existed. Now I know damn near everything about their lives. And it's completely and totally unnecessary, and it's starting to get on my nerves. Like I've blocked their names. Uh, I don't know what kind of content they make, but it's been such a popular subject that other people that I follow are often talking about it, and I think that we are a little too caught up in other people's cuck stories and the obsession with cuck porn and cuck culture in general is becoming too big of a is becoming a real big problem in the United States. And I think it's becoming due to the lack of testosterone and masculinity in a lot of young men and boys today that the cuck culture is starting to really float around now. Um, so I really don't understand what the big deal is. Like I don't understand why people felt the need to watch the videos. So if you don't know what happened, apparently some guy named Adam 22, he's married to a porn star, and apparently she never did porn with men until she got married, and now she wants to do porn with guys, and then he let her do it, and now the guy who apparently she did the video with keeps doing interviews, basically rubbing it in Adam 22's face, and Adam 22 is buying the girl Lamborghinis and all kinds of stuff. And then there's another guy I follow on Twitter named Dom Luker. He's been he kind of outed this Adam 22 fellow as a bit of a pedo. And everything that I know about this guy, I learned in the last couple of hours, and it's been 100% against my will. I did not search out any of this stuff. I know nothing about it really. So and it ended up with just like random people because there's that the I think it's a for you tab or whatever they call it on Twitter, where it's not people that you follow, but it's content that you might be interested in. And a lot of those people were talking about it. I guess No Jumper is in the hip hop space. I think it is. So I follow a lot of rap content producers. I follow a lot of wrestling content producers, and that ends up with me uh, getting stuff thrown in my face all the time that I don't really care about and don't really care to follow. And this Adam 22 situation ended up being one of them. And I, there's another one. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the Adam 22 situation too, since it seems to be a hot subject today. But I also want to talk about some of the MGTOW stuff because a lot of the MGTOW stuff is cuck porn too, and it's very strange. And I didn't notice it back when I watched a lot of MGTOW content. I guess I had to detach myself a little bit from it, but a lot of it is like fear of cuckoldery. Look, I get it. You want to make sure people are well aware of what could happen, but too often these guys are delving into almost fetishistic obsession with other people banging their girlfriends or wives or stuff like this. And it's becoming a bit of an obsession. Um I think we are really, really encroaching on male insecurity. And it's a thing that's kind of been discussed quite a bit. So let's talk about this Adam 22 thing because And I want to go full. I'm not going to go full born religious conservative on this subject. I want to look at it from a sort of clinical perspective. Like, there's a lot of extra things, not just how could Adam 22 let some guy bang his wife and then brag about it in interviews. Why did he record it? And look, the question goes, and I'm gonna break it down even more. Yeah, because Jim Cornette is also one of those guys. Because before we even get to Adam 22 being married to a porn star who then had sex with men, and it really kind of embarrassed him. Let's take a step back and look at Adam 22 as a person. Look at all the crazy tattoos that he has all over his body and his face and stuff. When somebody has all of these ridiculous tattoos and they really have no real meaning to them, I already can tell that this person is not qualified to make a lot of good decisions. I've never seen a surgeon or a lawyer or anybody of any repute that had all of these tattoos all up their neck and all over their face and stuff. And some people just say that about rappers. Like, as soon as you get that first face tattoo, you can forget about being anything in society that will actually matter. So that's the first thing I noticed, is I saw he had all these crazy tattoos all over his neck and face and stuff. And I was like, well, the kind of guy who would probably chase strippers, and that seems to be well in his wheelhouse. But as a man, that is, your decision making sets the standards for your household. What kind of decision making was he engaged in before he got married? Well, I'm assuming before he got married. Well, from Don Luker, we know that he was chasing teenage girls. So he was, 23 or something like that, banging some 16-year-old girl. We know that he was into pornography and all kinds of other weird stuff. Well, pornography itself is not weird. I'm just saying he was just into that lifestyle. And he got rich from making quite a few bad decisions, from just being in the mix of things. And he ended up being very rich. And when you become rich, even though you make bad decisions, you just continue to make bad decisions. This is why it never matters who has money. It's only what you do with it. You can give an absolute idiot some money. What are they going to turn around and do with it? They're going to do idiot shit. Which is why they end up broke half the time. So it's just a matter of, hey, do you have a skill or something that you can monetize, or are you a part of like a conglomerate or whatever? Like, I don't know how this guy got rich, and it don't matter, to be quite honest, because it's pretty clear to me that him getting rich, however he got rich, didn't change his decision making, because now that he's rich, he decided to marry a porn star. So that's already, again, crazy tattoos all over the face and neck, marrying a woman of ill repute. Sounds like a rapper to me, or an NBA player. Then I think he breeded with her. I think they had a baby. They started posting silly pictures with the baby on the porn sites and stuff like this. So his just bad decision making all the way around, right? So he knocks up some porn star, marries her, and then they started doing videos where the chick is breastfeeding the baby, and these things are posted to, I'm not sure if it's TikTok or Instagram or whatever, but they're not far away from videos of her slobbering all over penises. So that stuff is pretty much all bundled together. So their baby is now bundled together with her porn career and with whatever career he has. So all of this stuff is now contaminated. There's cross pollination with this. She's on his program, he's on hers, the baby is now on this thing. And you're sitting there, and you don't need to know a lot to know that if you're doing something that is, I don't know, vulgar, you probably don't want your children involved with it. the fact that you would involve your child on the same page in the same vicinity with all the pornography and all this kind of stuff, again, just you're in the habit of making terrible decisions. So from there, I guess the chick was doing lesbian porn, which it wouldn't matter to me. She's naked on the internet. It's probably not smart. And then she starts bringing up that she wants to have sex with men. It's which he's now this Adam 22 fellow, because I did end up seeing the video. He said that his wife has watched him have sex with other women, so he felt that it was fair to let her have sex with other men, which he shouldn't be having sex with other women. And you would question the decision making of his wife, who is watching him have sex with other women. You know, you would basically ask the question, like, what kind of weird stuff are they into? But whatever. So he decides to, quote unquote, allow this to happen. And this is how it supposedly plays out, because he's trying to beat the cuck allegations, right? He's trying to beat the allegations that he's a cuck. You know, that's what he's trying to escape. You know, he's trying to fight this label. So the first way he tried to fight the cuck label is by saying he was in control. It only happened because he allowed it. She asked for permission first, and he gave her permission, which only made him seem like more of a cuck, because why would you allow it? Most men who are cucks, they didn't ask for it. They didn't have a choice in the matter. It just happened. And it's something that happens to you. It's not something that you are in cooperation with. So now you're even worse of a cuck, because you knew it was going to happen and you allowed it. The second way he tried to get it from under the cuck label is by saying, oh, we're going to monetize it. It's going to be on our stuff. You're going to pay for it. And therefore, we're going to get money. We're not even talking about Tom Holland yet. We're going to get there, because we're going to talk about his struggles too. We're talking about Adam 22 and cucks right now. So then he tried to play it off like money is going to wash away the cuck label. He's going to go and buy his wife a Lamborghini. He's going to celebrate the big video, all this kind of stuff. They're doing mockumentaries, and I think they even did a mock shooting of the Red Table Talk of Will and what's the name, Smith, Will and Jada Pinkett. They did a mock version, him and his wife. Meanwhile, the guy who actually did the video is doing videos talking about, oh yeah, his wife ain't been stretched out in a long time, and the cream pie, I guess, the cream pie was unplanned. So it wasn't even a situation in which they agreed to all parts of this situation. That's just one of the things he did on his own. He decided, well, since you're already letting me do it, and since I'm already in it, I'm just going to come on in it. And so he did. And then so from there, you got the wife apparently pulling it out of her and then licking it. And so you got this guy who's trying very, very hard to beat the cuck allegations. And no matter what he does in the public sphere, whether it's blocking people, whether it's more videos trying to make a mockery of the situation, or mocking other people, or trying to celebrate it, or whatever the case may be, the other flip side is that he's constantly being made fun of. And the guy keeps doing interviews talking about how he fucked his wife better than he did, and all this other stuff. So you're just trapped in this absolutely toxic situation. And it all starts from this guy just not being good at making decisions. It's not even, he is not good at making decisions. Even when he was by himself, apparently he was engaged in grooming behavior with underage girls. He just cannot make good decisions. And so he continues to dig this hole for himself. And he's trying to, red pill his way out of it by, it's all about the money, it's all about this, it's all about that. And you don't, you that's not going to beat the allegations. Because guess what? The internet is deaf to anything like that. There's videos of this man's wife being plugged by some guy. And he thinks it's okay because he said so. Everybody else already knows what it is, and that's pretty much, he didn't have a choice in the matter. She was going to do it anyway. Because he makes bad decisions like marrying a porn star, what was she going to do? She was going to leave him and do what? Do porn? She was going to listen to him and not do it? Come on. Come on. She was going to do it anyway. So sometimes you try to play like you have the upper hand. And I noticed that the more a man says he doesn't care about something, the more he really does care about it. The more he tries to act like he's in control of the situation, the little control he actually does have. So as much as this guy tries to act like he's in control of this, he's not. This thing has probably gotten way out of control. He doesn't know what to do. So he figures as he double down, triple down, quadruple down, he could either A, run off a lot of people and they'll just block him or whatever and just say he's a cuck and move on. Or he's hoping that one day that all of this will be over and we all forget about it. Much like there was a red pill guy who ends up being a cuck and a weirdo. What was his name? He used to be on Tim's show all the Tim Pool's show all the time. He had the big beard with the gray stuff in it. What was his name? I don't remember. But he ended up being like a super cuck and all this kind of weird stuff too. And he tried to double down, do the same thing, and it didn't work out because what ends up happening is pretty much people make fun of you and then you crack, and that's pretty much it. You're going to end up cracking eventually. But that's not even my problem. Again, I don't really care about the Adam 22 thing. I'm worried about their child. I am very, very worried about their child because the psychological damage that these OnlyFans women and these porn stars are doing to their children, we may never fully understand how much psychological damage these people are doing to their children. There was a story that came out just a couple of days ago with Jaden Smith talking about how his mom introduced the entire family to doing mushrooms. They were taking hallucinogens together as a family because the mother is a degenerate who thinks that her children doing drugs with her is perfectly fine. Now, are you in any way surprised that the kids in Will Smith's household are Jack Murphy? That's exactly what his name was, Jack Murphy. So, are you surprised that the children in Will Smith's household are as weird as they are? They walk around in Batman costumes and they're dressing like, the boys are dressing like girls, the girls are dressing like boys. Everything is confused. Will Smith is confused. He looks miserable half the time. He's crying half the time. And it's like, this man has no control over his family. And it all started with him making a bad decision. And that was marrying Jada Pinkett. And look, Jada Pinkett is fine. She was fine back in the day. And that's, when you was 20, 25 years ago, and that's all you really cared about was how fine a chick was. Shoo, Jada Pinkett was not a bad choice. But Jada Pinkett was a hood rat. And everybody knew that. Again, Will Smith tried to marry another hood rat. What was it, Peppa from Salt and Pepper? Now, she was a little bit more aware that she was a hood rat. And she was willing to admit that she was not interested in a nice guy like Will Smith and didn't know what to do with him. And then he didn't know what to do with her. He didn't know he was getting involved with. So she let him go. And we all laughed at her. Ha 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 ha. Will Smith ended up being this huge success. And she ended up getting beat up by Tretch from Naughty by Nature. It's not funny, but it's like she missed out on something. But we turned out that she didn't really miss out on much on anything because Will Smith had a type. And Hood Rats apparently was his type because he went and married Jada Pinkett. Now, Jada Pinkett, what made her a Hood Rat is she was involved with Tupac Shakur. Apparently, both her and Tupac had alcohol problems. When Tupac was in jail, he proposed to Jada Pinkett, and then Jada Pinkett took it to her mom, and her mom said no, which is why they ended up not getting married. So then, for years afterwards, after Tupac died, Jada Pinkett swore up and down they had never had sex and there had never been any type of physical relationship between her and Tupac. But yet, her children are writing letters to Tupac. You know, somebody who was dead a decade before they was even born. They're writing letters to him. Will Smith he made bad decisions, just terrible decisions, letting his wife lead him around because he was not really a strong man. Now Will Smith didn't make the same decisions as the Adam guy. Like, he didn't have all the crazy tattoos and everything, but Will Smith made bad decisions. This goes to, I believe there was an interview that was done where Will Smith did a gay scene in a movie in the 90s. I don't know what the movie was, but there was a story that he got a phone call from Denzel Washington before he took that movie. And Denzel said, don't do it. If you do it, that's the kind of stuff you're going to be doing all the time. He did it anyway because he wanted to be in Hollywood. He wanted to be in Hollywood so badly that he didn't listen to Uncle Denzel, who apparently gave him some unsolicited advice. And now look at Will Smith. If he listened to Denzel, put his foot down, not did all that gay shit, not did all of this other weird stuff, took himself and his own career seriously, he probably would have well-adjusted children right now. Instead of his children being, who knows, just weeds growing in the garden of life. Nobody knows what the hell they're going, what they're doing, or why. But we're supposed to just, keep patting them on the back and saying good job to Jaden and Willow Smith, who have no discernible talent whatsoever. They just happen to be the son and daughter of Will Smith. They have no goals or anything. They're just rich for being born. And that's pretty much what it is. Like, look at this terrible situation that Will Smith finds himself in. Dwayne Wade, he's another one. Guy makes terrible decisions. Now he letting his Hollywood movie star wife dictate his life and got his son dressing like a girl. But hey, he gets to do commercials and he got a TV show on TNT, so it's all working out, right? I don't know what's going on. But the psychological damage that this stuff is doing to their children is what concerns me. Because when you look back at some of the rock stars and other assorted people from like the days before the social media, you would definitely look and see that their children was just as on off tilt as they were. There's plenty of stories of like movie star sons and daughters committing suicide and going off the rails because they grew up in a system that was completely and totally fucked. I'm trying to think of one good example because I'm doing this off the top of my head. But I know that Lawrence Fishburne's daughter ended up doing porn. And she ended up doing porn because Lawrence Fishburne wouldn't help her with her acting career. So she decided she was going to embarrass him by doing porn. It only ended up embarrassing herself, really. But you look at it and you say Lawrence Fishburne has been in Hollywood since the 60s. You can find movies with Lawrence Fishburne's name in it when he was a little boy. I think, what was it, Cooley High was he in? Or was it Cornbread Earl and Me? I think it might have been both of them. He might have been in both of them. He'd been in Hollywood for decades before that girl was even born. So is it any surprise that she came out completely mentally fucked up and decided to go start doing porn because she was mad at her daddy. Look at how many of these people, their children are just torn to shreds. They end up doing drugs and end up dead and all this kind of stuff. And now it's even worse than ever. I can't imagine the psychological damage of me finding a picture of my parents having sex. Just imagine if you found a picture, just a picture, like a little photograph, Kodak or whatever, Polaroid of your parents having sex. You would be like, oh my God, this is so gross. It's so weird. You know, it'll mess with you. But now imagine it's video. And now imagine it's multiple videos. And now imagine that stuff is public. So other people can see it too. And now, not only is there videos of your parents having sex, there's multiple videos of your parents having sex on the internet for any and everybody to see. And they're tweeting about it and talking about it and doing assorted other videos about it. And then, not only is there a picture or a video of your parents having sex, multiple videos of your parents having sex. Not only is it public so everybody can see it, but they're talking about it on social media. And now there's videos of your parents having sex with other people. Your mom having sex with other men. Your dad having sex with other women. They're engaged in threesomes and orgies. And they're telling you the entire time the only thing that matters is the money. Oh, we get to buy a Lamborghini. We get to buy a nice big house. That's so when you grow up, that is your standard bearer. Your standard bearer is my dad has sex with other women, my mom has sex with other men, and they do so for money. And it's okay because they did it for money, which means they did it to give me a better life. So how should I behave in the world? If you're a child, teenager especially, how are you supposed to grow up? Who is going to be your role model? Your whore ass mama? Or your stupid simp daddy? Who is going to be able to set any boundaries for you? Because they didn't set any for themselves. Again, Adam 22 is walking around with all these tattoos all over his face and stuff. Just no boundaries whatsoever. His wife has got fake everything. She's doing porn. She's incredibly overly sexual online. And the people she's had sex with are all talking about her pussy online. Who is going to be the person that's going to sit you down and tell you how to behave in the world? It's certainly not going to be your parents. Are you really going to respect this man who has all this crazy stuff tattooed on his face, especially in 20 years when all that shit's saggy and wrinkled and you know, they're white people, so it's all green and gray and shit all over his face? You really going to take that stuff seriously? You going to take him seriously as an adult? As a person who makes good decisions, you going to take that seriously? You going to take a man seriously who sits around trying to get other men to buy videos of his wife having sex with other men? What the hell is wrong with these people? These people are degenerates. They're insane. This behavior is insane. What is that child going to think? What's the child going to think? What kind of damage are you doing to this child? I don't know. And it's not just them. They're just a really good example because they're so public and they're so open and they're so, you know, just they're making it, they want to be talked about because, you know, that's kind of their stock and trade is clicks and, you know, TikTok and all that shit. So they're looking for ways for people to talk about them. But there's tons of porn stars and OnlyFans models and all this kind of stuff, and they're doing They're doing pregnancy porn and all this other weirdo fetishistic stuff. And those children have to go through the same situation. You know? Your mom makes terrible decisions, your dad makes terrible decisions. I mean, your family is destroyed. These people almost have no roots either. There was another one, another porn star. What's her name? Young chick. Big eyes. You probably know who her name is. Big-eyed white chick. She was talking about how her parents don't talk to her anymore. She's married to some cuck who allows her to still do porn even though she's married. And she has children. And now her children don't even have solid role models because her grandparents, well, the grandparents of the child, have cut the mama off. They don't even talk to her anymore. Now, because they don't even talk to her anymore, where is she going to get solid advice from? She's got to get it from her whore ass mama, from her cuck ass daddy. She's a tree with no roots. She don't even know where she come from. She don't know what else she could possibly be. Is her name Riley Reid? I don't know. I don't know the name of these porn stars, man. But she's got big bug eyes, and she looks permanently 14. So it probably is Riley Reid. I don't know. But a lot of them talk about this whole thing about how they don't have any sort of relationship with their parents. And these are the ones who are lucky to have gotten married, because there's some of them that are so ran through and so tossed up and so mentally fucked up that they can't even be married. Like that Mariah Mills chick that keeps talking about that basketball player. I mean, she's so mentally burnt out. There's nothing even worth having when it comes to that woman. Everything on her is fake. She doesn't even know how to behave on the internet. One day she's heartbroken. The next she's trying to talk about how he nutted all in her throat. And then the next he was abusive. He raped her. It's just back and forth. These broads are broken in the brain. And these dudes just keep making bad decisions. Just constantly bad decisions. Constantly bad decisions. And it almost always starts with something that he makes bad decisions personally. I heard Jason Whitlock talking about Zion Williamson, the guy who was entangled, I guess you could say, with this Mariah Mills chick, and that he can't control the knife and fork, as Jason Whitlock talks about it. He's fat. That's in terms of an NBA player, I guess. I wouldn't know that because I couldn't pick that guy out of a lineup. But if you look at it from that perspective, you see that he makes bad decisions. He makes bad decisions. So when he makes bad decisions, then you add money. The bad decisions just become worse because now he's making bad decisions with money. And they're knocking up these porn stars and sleeping around with them. And then the porn star is so mentally just down bad, which you would have to be involved with porn. And you're in a situation where, well, look, what's the difference? If you're sitting around here shacked up in any kind of way with a porn star, what else are you but a cuck? This is where we go into the to the MGTOW situation where you'll see somebody like Sandman or whatever. I don't watch his videos. I find his voice to be very boring. But he will routinely post these videos. I mean these pictures of like a bunch of men lined up on a couch naked, and you show up with the flowers, and then there's men behind you naked or whatever. It's sort of that insecure cuck fear, you know? And I don't watch the NBA. I don't know nothing about Zion Williamson. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know who he is. But I only know about this stuff because people talk about culture. You know, that's how I know what this stuff is. And people make bad decisions. And plus, once this stuff go viral, you can't help but see it. When you look at this kind of stuff and you say to yourself, how else am I supposed to live in the world? How am I supposed to live in the world? You can tell people whatever you want. You could have these conversations or whatever, but regular regular parents are embarrassing enough. Regular mom and dad who work in an office, or they can be embarrassing enough. Just imagine somebody being able to look your mom up online and see her busting it wide open. It's like, bro, come on. Your only hope is that sometimes that stuff will vanish. If you're on a small enough scale, that stuff will go away. But it's this, or it will at least it'll be minimized in some way. But if your parent is like a royal fuck up, my goodness, are you ever going to be able to escape that? And that's why. And I'm not sure if I should say this or not, because I don't know if it's true. But how many people, like, does Michael Jackson's children have like social media? Because I don't hear nothing out of them. I don't hear nothing, nothing, nothing. I don't hear anything out of those children. I barely even see pictures of them. I still don't even know what that third one looked like. You know, they call him Blanket. I still don't even know what he looks like. Right? And Michael Jackson, I think Michael Jackson was not guilty, but he was involved with so much weird stuff that his children have to live with that, whether they're his biological children or not. It is what it is. They have a really, really weird. It's got a screwed up lifestyle. What can you do? Look at Whitney Houston's daughter, right? I think I knew I was going to find one, but Whitney Houston, she was, America's sweetheart, even though she was doing crack in the 80s. Her daddy does crack. And then are we surprised she was popping pills and ended up dying? I mean, is that really a surprise? It's not really a surprise. It's the culture that she came from. It's what she grew up with. How her parents, who was doing that shit, gonna tell her not to do it? Because they've been doing it. Oh, don't make the same mistakes that I made. Blah, 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 blah. But you're still doing it. And your mom was famous. And then became more famous for how she embarrassed herself in the later years, getting super skinny, being loud and ratchet. And then she ended up dying. Just think about the psychological damage that happens to you as a child of a royal fuck up. And I'm not even talking about a porn star yet. I'm talking about somebody who is just a royal ne'er do well, just can't get right. You know, when you start adding in the sexual deviancy to it, you know, I say that this stuff is pretty damning. It's very, very damning. And I feel bad for the children. I really do. Doc TV said the fact he gave her rules like her getting her guts destroyed isn't bad. Yeah, like, I'm in control of this situation, so it's not a problem. What? Well, I'm sorry. What was his rule? I think his rule was that they couldn't kiss. No kissing. They didn't kiss. Come on. Man, get the fuck out of here. You're a weirdo, bro. It's 100% weird, man. It all starts from, you as an adult man have to make better decisions. You have to make good decisions. You gotta have good decision making. If you don't have good decision making, everything that you do in life is not going to turn out right. You know. Now, here's a question that I struggle with this. should porn be illegal? I struggle with it. Now, the reason why I don't think porn should be illegal is because I don't think it's any of the government's business. As long as you do something that's aimed at adults, even if it's degenerate as shit, if it's two consenting adults or more, it could be 4 or 8 or whatever, then I loathe to make it illegal. But again, I am thinking about the kids. And I am thinking about the family. Porn does destroy the family. It does have immeasurable effects. I'm not even talking about the family of the people watching, which is what everybody's always talking about. There's constantly these religious conservatives going on and on about men shouldn't watch porn because it's ruining your relationship. I'm like, fuck you. Do you know what relationship is ruined? The girl who's in the porn and her parents. That's relationship that's ruined. The relationship is ruined between that girl and every other man that she's going to meet who's just going to want to nut on her, and then that's it. That's the relationship that's going to be ruined. If a man is obsessed with porn and he's, addicted to porn or whatever the case may be, that's too bad. That sucks. But it's not like porn in general, in moderation, is not a bad thing. It's the same thing as alcohol. All right? Alcohol ain't necessarily good for you. And in society, I will tell people like, hey, I think Kevin Nash said this when he was talking about the Chris Benoit thing, and he said like, hey, people want to talk about whether Chris Benoit had steroids in his system. It's like people found alcohol in, like how often do you find alcohol near a scene where somebody's been shot, raped, killed, or something to that effect? People will run you over in their car drunk, even by accident. And we don't make alcohol illegal. Like we tried that, it didn't work. So making porn illegal won't change things either. I see that there are states that are trying to make it illegal. They're trying to do things like you have to, post your social security number or, post an ID or something like that. Okay. But that's only on the official porn sites that, like Pornhub and stuff like that. They're trying to take down Pornhub. You know how many porn sites exist? Even if you take down Pornhub, so what? Somebody else is just going to rise from the ashes. You're not thinking about this. And then when you start looking at prostitution in general, which is what pornography is, which is why prostitution should be legal, it's the same damn thing. It's just not on screen. People are doing prostitution more now than ever because it's easier to do. You can, lay up with your boyfriend and shoot videos, which is what some young women are doing. They're even trying to get slick and wear masks and stuff, which at least they're trying to live somewhat of a normal life, even though they are degenerate. They want to wear costumes and masks or whatever and, try to hide their identity behind the OnlyFans. That's the best you can do, probably. But I'm not in a situation where I think that it should be illegal. I'm not even sure what the regulation should be outside of only adults should have access to it and only adults should participate in it. When it comes to some of the fetish stuff, and one of the fetish things that really does kind of bother me is when the adult woman is made to look like a little girl. I know it's a fetish. I know that some women are just neotness like that, meaning they look very young. And then they'll give themselves a young hairstyle. It's typically a Japanese thing, an Asian thing, because they look very young even when they're older, quite often. And sometimes in European countries too. A lot of the stuff that people do as well, revenge porn, should definitely be illegal. But you probably shouldn't be allowing people you don't trust to shoot videos of you anyway. I mean, it just is what it is. A lot of the fetish, the rape fetish stuff is like, I don't know about that. It's just because when you allow porn, and this is the negative thing, when you allow porn, you're allowing a lot of the other stuff involved with the porn world to enter, because people have all kind of dark sexual desires, dark passionate desires. And it's not just going to be BDSM, let's tie her up and blindfold her or whatever. It's also going to be pissing on people. It's going to be somebody who has a machine that's just going to continually jab her in the ass for 10 minutes or whatever. It's going to be the triple X stuff where you're spitting on people and smacking them in the face and calling them bitches and whores because she likes that. It's going to be the neotenous young girl who's very petite, wearing a schoolgirl outfit, getting railed by three guys. It's, grandmas and, the cuck fetish of, my boyfriend's at work and, his best friends come over and slay the dragon or whatever the fuck. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you open up the door when you start allowing porn, you know? And that's what makes me want to ban it, if we're being honest. Because the floodgates have been opened so terribly when it comes to that stuff, and there's no end to it, really. And the average person can't tell the difference between when they do these, my stepbrother, is doing his thing on me. And people think like they don't know that, there's a lot of people who take it literally, like, oh, they're promoting incest. It's like they're acting, quote unquote. They're not really related, but at the same time, there are people who are doing real things that they shouldn't be doing. And then you assume all porn is fake. And so you don't know that what you're watching is legit, And there's been quite a few of those stories where you think there's a young actress, but then it ended up really being a chick who didn't know she was being recorded. And it's completely different from you looking right into the camera while you're sucking dick or whatever. But somebody who didn't know they were being recorded, and then it was posted. Like, I can see why you would ban it. I can see why you would ban it. But I know people who that became like a fetish for them, is to record themselves having sex. That's how to them, having sex with them, you consent to being recorded. And I didn't agree with that. And I had to tell him that, like, yo, that's a private thing. And she doesn't know what you're going to do with those videos. She doesn't know if you're just going to, put it on a hard drive somewhere and then you're going to go back to it when you feel like it, which is what he was trying to do, or if you're just going to try to sell that shit or show your friends and all this kind of stuff, right? She don't know. So, it's like she's not down for that. And it took him a while to not do that, but he was really on that kick for like a year or two. Like him trying to get chicks and they wouldn't consent to being recorded. They would be like, no, we're not going to let you record me, put a camera over here or even use your phone. It's like, no, have to. It was crazy. Like he was telling me like they would take his phone from him before they had sex because they would be scared that he was going to record them. I'm like, she's so stupid. If she was afraid that you was going to record her, she shouldn't even have had sex with you. She's stupid. She's a dumb broad, But I see it from that perspective, that it became an obsession for him, that he wanted to be able to have his cake and eat it too, to be in the porn and to actually have sex. And look, I'm not going to say I didn't do it. I'm just going to say it didn't become an obsession for me, right? It didn't become something that it had to happen or even something I found to be that interesting. It was, and I'll tell you another story. There was a story of a friend of mine. Her baby daddy recorded himself having sex with some girl. And she found out about it. The girl sent her the video. And she watched it because she wanted to know why the girl was crazy. She was like, this girl crazy. She keep calling me. She dropped by the house or whatever. So then she watched the whole video, like 30 minutes of her baby daddy having sex with some guy. I mean, with some girl, I'm sorry. And She gave this Siskel and Ebert like breakdown of it, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you watch this? It's like it's completely like I'm trying to figure out why he's so crazy. I'm like, I think you kind of got a fetish, you know. I think you couldn't pay me to do no shit like that, you know. Like people are involved with porn way too much, and this is somebody who don't usually even like porn, which is another thing that kind of drove me crazy because it was like it's a female. She don't watch porn. She don't like porn. She don't even masturbate. But she watched this like 13-minute video of her baby daddy plugging some chick. And I'm like, wait a minute. This contradicts everything I know about you. And that's the weird thing about porn is like, because it's entertainment, quote unquote, you can watch stuff that you're not interested in. And it's really weird. You know? Like I've heard of people like back when I was a kid, we used to do that stuff. We watched porn, we weren't even really all that interested in it. It was just funny. You know, it was interesting situations, sometimes very bad acting, and you never knew what you were going to what you were going to get when you put one of those tapes in the VCR because you never seen anything like that before. Again, I was a kid in the 90s. I'll tell you this, though, I don't know if I told this story online before, but it was pretty funny. I had a friend live down the street from my house. Pretty much each one of us had a job to try to find some porn somewhere and swipe it. So like when I would go over to my grandma's house, I would go into their bedroom and my granddad would have some porn up on the top shelf. I would take a tape or two or whatever and show my friends like, hey, look what I got from my granddad's stash. Never got busted, by the way, because I guess he never he didn't look at them that much. So then my friend from down the street, he comes down there, he comes down to my house, he's got tapes, porn tapes. We're probably about 12, 11 or something like that. Put the tape in the VCR. Um, it's like three or four of us in the room. So the tape starts to go through the credits or whatever, and there's a chick dancing, like she's dancing like a stripper, whatever. There's two guys on the couch, and they start pulling their dicks out, and you know they're jacking off or whatever. And we just think this is the funniest thing in the world. Until one of the dudes leans over and he's slowly leaning over with his mouth open towards the other guy. Bruh, like all of us were like trying to hit stop on the VCR at the same time. He was like, oh no, like stop, 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 stop. And that's when I think that was the last time we all watched porn at one time. Cause we ended up and found out that it was our friend's daddy's porn. So he had like some really weird bisexual porn in his stash. And we ended up finding it. So you know how embarrassed he was that his dad had some like crazy bisexual porn? shit, shit is insane, bro. And we were exposed to this as little kids, man. It was preteens, you know. So I'm like, when people say that porn is destructive and it fucks with you and everything, I 100% get it. I 100% get it. I remember when we used to skip school, we used to go downtown to these little like grocery store, like the little convenience stores or whatever, and we would look at the porn mags. You couldn't take them home, clearly. And then they started being smart and putting them in plastic wrappers, so you couldn't just open it and flip through it. That's when we used to try to steal them. But so those were the good old days. But that's before porn was like everywhere. You have to find somewhere to get it from. But you was interested in like large titties and stuff. Like you see a pair of titties on anything, you're like, wait a minute, what's that? Whether it's wrestling, whether it's TV show, you're like titties, where are they at? What's going on with there? But so I understand why you would ban porn. I've had some really bad, traumatic situations when it comes to porn. You know, and to be quite honest, you could live your life just fine and never have watched that stuff. and never engaged with it. You can be healthy sexually and never, like, you don't learn anything from watching porn, which is what we all thought. We all thought, hey, you can watch porn and you'll learn what to do with girls. You'll learn how to talk to women and all. It's like, actually, because it's set up the way that it's set up, it's not going to teach you how to interact with girls. It's it doesn't work that way. And but that's what we thought. And when people say like it destroys relationships, you say, well, yeah, if you're a teenage boy and you come across a porn and you think that's how you should talk to women, yeah, that's going to be pretty damaging. You know, um, that's going to be pretty screwed up because that's not how you talk to women. That's not how you approach women. Those women are being paid to be in that situation, and it's definitely twisting your brain. But if you're an adult and you know that this is fake and this is phony and it's all multiple editing and all this kind of stuff, then you really shouldn't have too much of an unhealthy relationship with porn. I remember watching Real Sex on HBO, and they did a porn star episode, and everything about it just deconstructed the porn industry, and it was eye opening. Like how so many of the male actors can't get hard; they have problems staying up. So there's literally people there rubbing oil on their penises to try to get them back up. How they have to position them. Like the sex isn't even something that is enjoyable. It's literally work. Like you have to get in a position, you have to stay in that position. The director tells you what position to do and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, that's still how porn is done now. It's still done the same way. It's just they've dropped all the pretense of the acting. You trying to ding dong, the pizza delivery man has showed up and whoop, his penis is out. They dropped all of that stuff now. Now you could just watch porn. And it's two people sitting in a room and all of a sudden they're involved. You know, but even to be on social media right now, that stuff's just thrown in your face. Like you could be. I don't know how many times I've been on like wrestling threads, and then there's some OnlyFans model there with her titties out. Like that's become a huge thing on Twitter now. And I'm not even afraid to say it. Like it's been really bad since Elon Musk took over. You started getting a lot of spam, a lot of porn spam, a lot of that stuff too. It's like, what is going on? Like Twitter cannot be for adults and children at the same time. You know, like it's too much that they allow children onto Twitter where they're literally one click away from some Adam 22 shit. Again, I didn't go looking for that stuff. It was all retweeted onto my timeline or somebody else that I follow was talking about it. And there it is. And I couldn't imagine if I was 12 or 13 wanting to talk about Monday Night Raw or whatever on my Twitter account, and then here's Adam 22's wife, Spread Eagle, getting rammed by some black dude. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for that. Not going to turn away from it, but I didn't sign up for it. So Twitter definitely needs to do something about the porn on their site. And I don't think Facebook allows porn, but Twitter, for some reason, allows full-blown porn. Whole porn movies, 30 minutes or whatever, posted to Twitter. Out of the misguided conception of free speech. Um, like pornography should not be allowed on Twitter. If children can use it, ban porn. Period. If if children can be on Twitter, meaning you could be under the age of let's say 17 or 16 on Twitter, you need to ban pornography. 100%. Not they can only do still frames. No, ban pornography. All of it. Ban it. All of it. Children should not have access to this stuff. Again, when I was a kid, I had to go look for it. I had to go steal it. Let those kids go and steal their own porn. Don't just come dump it into their lap. All right. So this is ridiculous. Ross says porn ruined my life. My cousin introduced me to internet porn as a kid and never left me. Mm. The older you get, the more porn becomes more humorous than anything. It's like porn gives you a very weird, because it hits different when you're a teenager and it hits different when you're an adult. When you're a teenager, it becomes and you're interested in girls and you're like, how do I get girls to talk to me or whatever. Then, porn becomes, this is how you do it. It becomes a documentary almost. This is how you talk to girls, and this is what you do when they're interested in you. And then you find out that none of that is true. And then when you become an adult, it becomes entertainment. You want to rub one out or whatever the case may be. And you don't really care about any of the intricacies. You just see a chick, she looks good, she might be doing something interesting. 2 minutes later, you click it off, you pretend you didn't watch it anymore. Like it's very, very strange. I never had I think a devastating relationship with pornography, you know? But I look at it from the perspective that not everybody is me. Some people have addictive personalities. They enjoy something or they watch something and then it never leaves them. Like Ross is talking about here. Some people are like that. We definitely need to bring back shame, you know. But you have to ask the question, you know, in the shame culture, it is highly constrictive. Even though that's a positive thing because you don't want too much. You don't want too much out there. And look, I understand that and I think that becomes a big cultural thing too. I forgot to think about it this way. Is that European countries think that America is very, because we're somewhat a religious country, that we're a bit of a prude. We're prudish. That we kind of limit. We've always had these limits on sex scenes and all this kind of stuff. Even when like France and Italy were like full blown, let's go. America has always been like, wait a minute, nah, it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate even for adults. There used to be a time where sex in movies was inappropriate even for adults. Even in an R-rated movie, adults didn't want to see you having sex. And we've talked about this before. Like that's 90% of TV now. My brother watches TV shows that are basically conversations before sex scenes. That's it. That's it. And this is what brings us to the Tom Holland situation where, again, I didn't go looking for that. Didn't ask for it. It just was one of those viral things that went floating around where this guy is getting railed from behind by some dude in a TV show. I'm like, what the? Why are people enamored with this stuff? Why is this stuff literally in everything? It's in everything, bro. Like, I've tried telling people, and people think that I'm a prude. Like, they really do. Like, I've had girlfriends and stuff where I will tell them, they would say, oh, you should watch this TV show. I'm like, is there sex in it? Well, yeah, there's sex in it. I'm like, I'm not watching it. They're like, why not? Like, and I tell them, like, things are sexier when they're implied. You know? If you cut out a lot of the sex scenes out of Power, that show is probably 30 minutes long. If you'd have cut the sex scenes out of those TV shows, you probably could have gotten more story in, and you probably could have got more stuff done in a shorter amount of time. But because you have to do these ridiculously raunchy sex scenes, I'm like, that shit makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to watch that shit. You know? I don't want to watch that shit. And the biz is correct. You want to have a free society, but you also want to ban porn. Those are one of those things that's called a value paradox. So do you value freedom or sanctity? The sanctity of society, sanctity of marriage, or whatever. As a libertarian, you would value freedom above sanctity. So you'll say, even though it's a situation in which it does destroy families to some degree, it's the choice of the two individuals involved, that if they want to record themselves and post it somewhere and other people want to consume that content, what can we do about it? We can't have it both ways. You know, we have to allow, if we want to be a people that are about freedom, I wouldn't exactly call it free speech, because pornography, I don't think it's pornography speech. It's pornography. Is any movie speech? I don't know. Some movies are speech, I would imagine. But and you have these paradoxes, it becomes an interesting thing. Like, a lot of the religious conservatives, they're trying to literally ban porn. This would be the Daily Wire types. They're trying to literally ban porn, like, everywhere. But then you have some of the people who are sort of you have some of these people who they want to socially ban porn. They don't want the government to get involved, but they want to be able to shame everybody who likes porn and watches it and whatever, or engages in it. And I can understand that from that perspective, and I think I would join in on that. Even as a very casual porn user, you would say you can do without it, and you can be fine without it. You'll be fine without porn. But I still don't believe that we can have a situation in which porn and prepubescent children can coexist in the same space. So Twitter has to get rid of porn. Or you need to be 18 to be on Twitter. One or the other. Either or. But having both is just not going to work out. And it's not going to work out from a marketing perspective too. Because from a marketing perspective, an advertiser perspective, why should anybody advertise on Twitter if some people are engaging in adult content and some people are engaging in child-friendly content, and they're both on the same platform? Like, YouTube had to make a choice, right? YouTube made the decision to ban pornography, and then they have the child protections and all this kind of stuff. And I think it was the right choice. I think porn has a place. There should be porn sites, where, yes, if you were going looking for porn, there it is. Otherwise, porn shouldn't just be a part of everybody's pop-up. You go to some site, here it popped up porn right in your face. No, come on. No, we shouldn't be doing that. But back to Tom Holland, because I saw a video before I saw this scene in this TV show of him talking about how evil Hollywood is and how he doesn't want to be a part of Hollywood. He don't want to do anything in Hollywood. And then I just kept thinking about it, because I was like, sounds like a well-adjusted young man. He doesn't want to. He knows that Hollywood is degenerate. It's run by pedophiles and all other sort of assorted weirdos. But then he does stuff like this. He went and agreed to do a male-on-male sex scene in which he's having sex with a man, or a man is having sex with him. And I've seen people trying to give it context. Oh, he doesn't see himself as a man. This is somebody who has dissociative identity disorder and all this kind of stuff. And I rolled my eyes and said to look, it don't matter. Okay. You can't be doing this stuff. I don't know how many times I've watched a TV show only to have gay sex or whatever thrown in. And it's just, it's brutal. Like, I was watching Mr. Robot, the TV show Mr. Robot, and I really enjoyed that show. And then there's a scene where, there's like a gay porn scene. I loved Spartacus, especially Blood and Sand. There's gay porn all in that joint. It's like, what the fuck? What is going on? There's men being raped in this. Like, I didn't watch Oz for that reason. Like, when I was a kid, Oz was like, my friends should try to get me watching Oz. Like, Oz is a good TV show. I'll be like, okay. And then you hear about all the men being raped in it. And I'm like, I'm not about to watch that. This is when I was a teenager. I'm like, I'm about to watch that. I don't want to see that. That's not entertaining to me. It's not interesting. You know? And it as I got older, my tolerance for sex scenes in TV shows diminished quite a bit. Because I already know that if I wanted to watch porn, there's porn out there. I don't have to watch it in everything. It doesn't have to be in everything. All right. That's why I don't be tripping about all these dudes we talking about. We need to go back to live sex celebrations and pro wrestling and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, why? Can we have a something that does not involve with tons and tons and tons of unnecessary sex scenes? Like, do we have to dump all of that in wrestling too? Like, we need to get away from it. It's in video games. They have sex scenes in video games now. It's like, bro, come on. Come on. Let's back down. Let's be adult about this. Mongo, do you agree that you can't really have an ancient Greece Sparta show without admitting that there was rampant homosexuality in that age? Here's the thing about that. I've seen quite a few people suggest that ancient Greece and all this kind of stuff was like super gay. But in reality, that it wasn't. That they actually shamed homosexuality too. So like people thought Alexander was gay. I thought for a long time that Alexander the Great was gay, but there have been people who have been saying like, look, he never had sex with a man. He didn't have any male lovers. And when you think about it, we've been living in the age of queering history for a long time now. So how many people do we think that have been gay historically that probably were never gay and never involved in any type of homosexuality? But we tend to believe that they were because we were told that they were for a long time, like the Greeks and the Romans and all this kind of stuff. Is it true or is it not true? I don't know. But the stereotype is that it was tons of like gay sex and stuff at the time. And since that's the stereotype, that's what they go with. So it's an interesting situation, And also because some things are translated in really weird ways, you also have to think about that too. Like what Ross is talking about here, he's talking about had a eunuch as a field wife. You could have called him an assistant. You could have called him an aide. You're calling him a wife. This guy's a man. Like he's talking about a man here. And I keep telling you about this book I looked at. What is called Girl Husbands and Boy Wives or something like that, because the society does not have words for, what what people were doing, the role that they played. So they might have called them a wife or something like that. That might be a strict translation. But in reality, it would be a different like type of assistant type of role or something like that. Like like pedagogy, the teaching of children, or pederasty. Pederasty was like a patronage system. It wasn't about people having sex with underage kids, even though sometimes it was. It was often about patronizing a young person, being a mentor, but often it was about taking advantage of people, being like a Larry Nassar kind of motherfucker. But those are the kinds of things that have existed for a long time. And once you start questioning history and you start questioning what you've been told, like, a lot of stuff that you find out is a lie, you find it out later, and you start saying to yourself, how many more lies have they told me? Like I say, I tell people all the time, I did a lot of, when I was before I started writing books, like novels and stuff, I used to do hella research on like African countries because I got tired of reading about like European countries. And instead of bitching and whining about it, I just looked up African countries because I went to college, so I knew how to look things up. And at the time, I had access to all it. It was I had access to all of that documentation because I could just go through my website. And I used to look up like different African cultures, different Native American cultures, and they always asked them if they had like homosexuality in their culture, and each one of them would say no. But then if you look at things that were explicitly homosexual, and it did exist in their culture, like men putting their mouth on boy genitals, for instance. They would. It was part of a. I'm trying to remember what African society it was where it was part of their manhood ritual, where the the older man would circumcise the boy and then suck the blood from the boy's penis. And you'd be like, what the that's gay as fuck. That's super gay, bro. Like, yeah, your society has homosexuality in it. But they're maybe looking at homosexuality the way we look at it, which is pair bonding between two men and pair bonding between two women. And maybe they didn't have that. Maybe they had occasionally two men would have sex or they would have sex partners or something like that, but they wouldn't consider it to be a long term thing, a lifestyle, something that they literally did all the time. You know, people were not exclusively homosexual in those days. So when they say like, do you have some homosexuality in your culture? And they would say no, they're not saying that they have literally zero homosexuality in their culture. What they might mean is there's no gay marriage. There's no two men shacking up. You know, there might be a man that plays a woman's role in terms of he cooks and cleans and takes care of shit and all that kind of stuff. He might be useless in other ways. Not a good soldier, not a good warrior, but he's left behind to take care of the children. They will sometimes have like but then you will also learn that they had like really weird family structures and stuff anyway, where like I just learned about a society where the fathers didn't have a role at all, where because the men never knew that they were the father of those children, that the responsibility of quote unquote fatherhood would always fall on the woman's brother, because the woman's brother is biologically related to her children. So he would be responsible for her children, not the person she had sex with. Like, imagine if you was born in that type of situation where your sister's children are yours, not not the ones that you actually go out and fuck some chick and have. But if she has 5 kids with 5 different guys, you are responsible for each one of those children as her brother, older or younger. I used to learn about societies that didn't have uncles. There was no such thing as an uncle. Or there were uncles, but there was only your mother's brother was your uncle. Your father's brother was your father. You know, like your father's brother had just as much authority over you as your father does. You wouldn't call him uncle. You would call him father. Your father's father was your father. Your father is your father, and your father's brother is also your father. And you would be like, I couldn't imagine living in those kind of societies. That stuff sounds like so confusing, but it probably made sense to them because they put it together that way. I can understand the concept of your father's father being your father. Even if your uncle is so much older, especially if you have an older uncle, your uncle is older than your father, I can understand that. But if your uncle is like, because sometimes this happens, especially like in the hood, your uncle might be younger than you. Your uncle might be like 2 years older than you. Uncle might be born 6 months before you. And he's like a major adult figure in your life. All right. Strange. But they do old societies do all types of things, and they structured it a certain way for a reason, you know. But this is where a lot of the drag and all this kind of stuff comes from, the biz. You know, it comes from China, Japan, the kabuki theaters where, the Chinese emperors would go to the theater and women were not allowed, so all the young boys would play the female roles, and then sometimes they would get raped. And it kind of went over to Europe, the European situations too, because here in Detroit there was a place called the Players Club. It was an all men's club, and they often would have drag shows in there because women were not allowed. So you would have these clubs where, you know, men would do Romeo and Juliet, and then there would be a man who plays Juliet. And it was done for laughs. It was done, it wasn't done to be serious. They weren't, seriously doing drag shows. Not like they would do drag shows today. That's why you have to be very careful about the language you use. Because if you say, well, they used to do drag and these other things, like, yeah, but they didn't do drag like they're doing drag now. They were cross-dressing, technically. They did drag back in the day, how they used to do minstrel. They used to do it in a mocking way. It was not meant to be Sasha Fierce, RuPaul, whatever. That was not the idea of when there used to be all male clubs where sometimes a man would cross dress. Usually it was done in a comedic way. And then you used to see that seep over into society where you would see men do very comedic white chicks, Juana Man, Tuan Fu, that sort of stuff, where it's a man in a dress, and it's clearly a man in a dress, trying to pretend to be feminine, and he's sort of mocking women a little bit. He's taking the piss out of women a little bit. Not what drag is now. It's a completely different, like when you go back and you would like Tom Hanks used to do a TV show called Bosom Buddies, where he was a drag queen in that show. Now, he wasn't a drag queen like RuPaul's a drag queen, but he used to wear women's clothes in that show. And he's wearing women's clothes for a very specific reason. I think he was like going to an all women's college or something like that. And it was him and another guy that he was just always dressed in drag or whatever. It was done for laughs. It was not done in a way of, this is a lifestyle that literally exists and something that you should emulate how it has been doing now. Now it's supposed to be a lifestyle that you're supposed to emulate that is being state sponsored by the government. No, that's not what drag was in the past. Drag was comedy. It was just like minstrel. It was just like, singing parody songs or whatever the case may be. Singing dirty songs used to be humorous. You could probably listen to the Dirty Blues, and it's like, they making jokes about sex, or some old ladies talking about, sex and all this kind of stuff, but it wasn't for mass consumption. It was for the juke joints where your grandma and all of them hung out, down in the South, and they wore suits and it was super hot. Like, you've seen those scenes in The Color Purple. Those joints really existed. My mom used to tell me about them. Her mom used to go to the juke joints. But the thing is, sometimes things exist in a culture and we kept the language for it, but the language for it does not fit what it was. Drag shows today are not drag shows 100 years ago. A drag show 100 years ago would have been done 100% for comedy. It wouldn't have been no question about what that man's sexuality was, because he was not going to be putting himself in a position where he was, it wasn't strictly homosexual men doing drag. Now it's almost exclusively homosexual men doing drag. Almost exclusively. I haven't heard too many stories about heterosexual men doing drag. The Biz says, one of the things our society needs to stop doing is making every gay person a pedophile. RuPaul is not a pedophile. R. Kelly is gay or drag doesn't make a person a pedophile. I agree. I don't think that all gay people are pedophiles. I question the desire to foist that upon children, but I don't think just because you're gay that you're a pedophile. I don't, because pedophiles can be heterosexual too. I mean, and there's also a lot of lesbian pedophiles too, and people always overlook that. Always overlook that. But I agree. I don't think we should have like a broad brush. That's kind of how I am about drag. You know, I I don't partake in drag. I don't like it. I just don't like it. But it makes me uncomfortable. But I understand that for some people they find it entertaining. You know, because it's entertainment. That was the point of drag. It was entertainment. It was a form of entertainment. It's become a lifestyle now, which is never was meant to be. It was never meant to be a lifestyle. It was meant to be a job. You wore a costume and then you took the fucking costume off. Now you got people running around in costume all goddamn day. I remember the first time I ever saw RuPaul without his costume on. I didn't know who the fuck that guy was. I'm like, who is this guy? And then I was like, who is this guy? And RuPaul was famous for 20 years before I ever seen him without the costume on. That's how much I reject the drag stuff. You know, he was famous for a really long time before I ever even seen him dressed in normal clothes. You know, and he became sort of and RuPaul is why, like, you know, why gay black men are like the spearhead of this stuff. You know, I remember they tried to cancel RuPaul because he made some comment about trannies or something like that, and it wasn't up to snuff, and they almost tried to cancel him over it. They're gonna get him eventually. They'll get him for something. They not only thing like they like more than building up a hero was tearing one down. You know, but yeah, Wesley Snipes did drag in Tu Wong Fu. Now I'm at the point nowadays where if you do drag, I'm really just done with you. You know, but I also understand that it's part of the humiliation ritual in Hollywood because he did a bunch of movies with Spike Lee. Then he did Tu Wong Fu. Then Blade came not too long after that. So they set you up. If you go through the humiliation ritual of doing drag and all this kind of stuff, then you get the big movie roles. And that's where we go. We double back to Tom Holland. All that money he made doing Spider-Man, he's gotta put something back in the till. I know that he's been doing drag. I know he's done drag and he's done a lot of other weird things. But this gay sex scene, you gotta cough it up to the game. You want to keep being Spider-Man and making hundreds of millions of dollars? Bend over. Let this man grind on you for money. Look at John Cena. You know, he put on a skirt. He put on the skirt. Now he's going to be in pretty much everything from now on. The Don TV manga, how long did it take for you to relieve that Tyler Perry was Medea? Well, the first time I ever saw Medea, I knew it was a man because the person who showed it to me told me about it. You know, that was one of those situations where I was trying to get laid and I didn't care what the fuck she put on. I was like, I don't care what you put on. I don't give a damn. So she put on this Tyler Perry thing and it was a play. And I'm like, she's watching a play? I was actually kind of impressed until I saw a motherfucking drag. You know, and I was like, oh, wait. But Tyler Perry was doing it for entertainment. You know, that's what drag has always been. That's when Eddie Murphy did drag for. That's when Martin Lawrence did drag for. You know, I think my issue with Tyler Perry became that, you know, he started overdoing the Medea. I was kind of like, hey, you can actually hire somebody to do Medea for you now. Like, it's one thing when you're broke and you're like, I got to do Medea because nobody else can do it. But then the character becomes so famous that you can't just pass it off to somebody else and say, well, now you're going to do Medea. you know, because now everybody wants Medea. They want you in the suit, you know. Um, it's just like Shanae, just like Wanda, you know. I grew up with that stuff. You know, they do drag, and it is what it is. But it's I look at it from the humiliation ritual standpoint because you don't become successful in Hollywood without doing it. I think Denzel Washington might be the most successful black man I could think of that has never done anything gay, like super gay. You know, I just if he has done something gay, let me know. I don't think he's ever wore a dress, and I don't think he's ever done a gay movie, a gay scene in a movie or something like that. And he's been wildly successful. I think he might be the only one. Maybe Sam Jackson, but Sam Jackson is very he'll do anything, you know. So you know, he'll do anything. But just about everybody else has done something gay. You know, they do the Holiday Heart, I think Ving Rhames, or he wore the dress. He also got raped in Pulp Fiction. I mean, just it is what it is. What can you do? But Tom Holland, on one hand, talking about how evil Hollywood is, and at the same time doing gay porn scenes, you gotta question his sincerity. Um, I don't know. Like I haven't seen uh, Sam Jackson do anything that I would think is suspect. He did wear a kilt. Um, he did wear a kilt for a movie, but that was it. You know, I don't think he's ever did anything that I consider to be too bad. You know, he was a crackhead in quite a few movies, like a crackhead thief or something like that in quite a few movies, but he didn't do anything that I would be like he's suspect. I love Pulp Fiction. I love that movie. I just don't like that scene. I hate that scene. I hate it. It's a fucking terrible, and it seems so unnecessary too. You know, that's the that's one of those things where again it just felt unnecessary. And I know I'm super like I sit I I'm the way I talk now about drag queens and stuff like that. I have to take into account that a lot of that is very recent because I never used to be disgusted by men in dresses. I just never watched it. Like I never was a fan of Shanae or Wanda or white chicks or anything in which a man dressed like a woman. I was never entertained by that. But it didn't disgust me like it does now. Like today, that shit literally disgusts me. And I question why people continue to do it outside of the humiliation ritual aspect of it. That they do it because they won't get any more good roles if they don't. Their agent says, hey, you got to do this. You don't do this, well, what do you. Arnold Schwarzenegger had to be pregnant in the movie. Then he was pregnant in the movie Twins, right? Mm-hmm. He didn't get railed in any movies. He didn't get like rubbed on or anything like that. But you know, Terry Crews had to play a gay guy in a movie. You know, it is what it is. And look, being gay in a movie is a role. I mean, it's acting, but I'm saying like psychologically, you watching yourself in a TV show, you have to pretend that you're being penetrated. Oh yeah, the movie was called Junior. Yeah, it wasn't called Twins. Twins was he did with Danny DeVito. Um, you got to pretend that you're being pleased about a man grinding up on you. I can't do it. It's one thing like if gay movies didn't have gay sex scenes in them, they'd probably be okay. You know, like it might be all right because everybody can. Because that's the part that really freaks me the fuck out is the gay sex. I don't really care about people being gay. You know, two guys love each other, okay, but when you start talking about the sex part, it's like, I don't see the intrigue in that. Uh, I gotta admit, White Chicks is funny. I never watched it. There's men in drag. I'm not watching it. I already told you that. As soon as I saw them in drag, I'm like, I'm not watching this. Uh, and plus, I think I watched that other stupid movie they did when Marlon was a baby or whatever. I give up on the Wayans brothers right there. I don't know if that was before or after that. Do you prefer BC or JD? I don't know what you're talking about. Terry Crews played gay in a couple of movies. Well, I don't really follow his career, so maybe he had more than I thought. But I I'm just never I never really liked Terry Crews anyway. You know, I was never really a big fan. I thought he was funny though, in Friday, and he was funny in Everybody Hates Chris. So Tom Holland has been sus. He said he likes to cross dress and pushing for trans Spider Man. He's European, so all this stuff is we got to take into account that he's European, and Europe, they into that sort of thing. Europe is deep in the cuck culture, man. They deep in it. Cuck and gay stuff. Like, I think, America's number one export has been homosexuality the last couple of years. We produce more homosexuality than we produce sugar, food, you know, honestly, good art. We are mass producing homosexuality and dumping it into the culture and dumping it into other people's cultures. And now all of our movies are getting banned in other countries now. They're getting banned in Dubai and Saudi Arabia and China. And we used to laugh because they're getting banned for silly reasons, like I think Doctor Strange or something like that got banned because they don't believe in magic over in China. So you have to change it to like technology or something like that to explain his powers because they don't like mysticism or whatever. We used to laugh at that. But then they started doing the gay shit. And we started being like, yep, that makes sense. You know, they don't want the gay shit. You gotta get rid of it. But then they start editing these movies for release elsewhere. So they'll cut out the gay kiss for the Saudi audience or whatever, but they'll keep it in for the American audience, which is that's even more offensive because now we know you have the ability to take it out and you want it to be there because you want to piss off people here. You don't want to piss off people over there. It's like, come on, man. Get the fuck out of here. A horse with no name says, remember that powerful white executive groped Terry Crews and Terry Crews went on Good Morning America and exposed it and haven't had a big movie role since. Yeah, he also cried about it, which, you know, that was so weird because the reason why he didn't do anything to the guy who groped him is because he didn't want it to affect his career. But then as soon as he started talking about it, it affected his career. So you might as well went on ahead and punched him in the face, right? I'd be thinking about that every day. I would think about that shit literally every day. If it fucked over my career to just to talk about it, I might as well go ahead and get the satisfaction of hitting you. You know, he made the decision to not hit the guy because he figured if I hit him, I'm done in this town. But because you exposed him, you're done in this town. Look how different it is for men and women though. Because women would go around and expose, they don't even lie on you. It don't really affect your career at all. That what's that one black broad, Amanda Diva? She lied on that doctor. She still works, and black men still be kikiing and chi-chiing with that broad after she lied on that man. She still got a job. She should be homeless, sleeping under a bridge somewhere. But nope, she still got her job. Bullshit. We're not gonna go down that road though. But that Tom Holland thing, it pissed me off, and it surprised me, and it definitely makes me look at him differently. You know, but I'm not surprised. It's Hollywood. You're not, especially if you're trying to chase these Grammys. I'm sorry, not Grammys, but the Oscars and everything. They will only give it to you if you partake in that shit. You know, you got to partake. You got to get involved with it. You got to be a champion for all of this bullshit that they trying to push. Whatever they trying to push, whatever it is. 10 years ago it was just plain gay marriage. Now it's trans shit. It's you have to push homosexuality in everything. Neji Savage says, Mongo, it's funny how a lot of the red pill weirdos like Sneeko are being exposed as being cucks. Funny how that works. Funny how that works, right? Fresh and Fit, they got out of this cucks too. Tricks, whole 9 yards. People still listen to them. I mean, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. I don't. Again, I don't follow these people, so I don't know them. All I know is shit gets retweeted onto my timeline, and I look at it and be like, "Oh, he was a red pill guy, and now all of a sudden he's been outed as a cuck." I'm not surprised. It's almost becoming like the male feminist who ends up being like the domestic abuser or all that kind of stuff. It's like it's inevitable for these guys. It's inevitable. They're so busy worried about how you look when you take a picture, whether you're chin straight up or the green dots and all that kind of shit. They're so worried about shit like that. They're not even paying attention to their wives fucking other guys. Or they think they're so alpha that it makes them above cuckery if they allow if their wife is fucking somebody else. It's so weird. It's so arrogant. But it's no different than the boisterous male feminist who ends up being either a creep, a rapist, a pedo, a stalker, and it's inevitable. Like as soon as you see him, you can just start doing the countdown. It's a countdown where eventually somebody's going to out this fool as being something dangerous towards society. It's inevitable. And the red pill is becoming just the same. It's inevitable that you get some of these guys coming out as cucks or some form of weirdo. Do I think the red pill is falling off? Absolutely. I think they're exposing themselves. It's becoming almost like a Christianity purity spiral where each one of these guys are trying to prove he's more alpha than the other. And what ends up happening is they end up doing what they did to Jack Murphy, which is they actually go back through your old blogs and all this kind of stuff where you're trying to be super male alpha. And then you say something stupid in a blog. Some guy looks it up, finds it, exposes you, you buckle, you whine, you cry, and then it all just falls apart. I mean, it is what it is at that point. And what more can you do? There's not much more you can do. These dudes are cucks. They're weirdos. And they get exposed eventually because they live online. It says they're projecting alpha because they hiding their real selves. Well, that's absolutely a fact. So many of them are embarrassed by their own lives that they started being like, or they look at it in terms of it's a hustle. Red pill is a hustle. So many guys who don't know anything. The first thing about getting chicks, they only know how to get chicks because they spend money on the chick, or the chick already likes them, and therefore they think they did something super special in order to get her. Like I gamed her. It's like 99% of the time the chick already wanted to fuck you, and you didn't really quote unquote game her as much as she just let you think you gamed her. And especially since guys get salty when you start looking at like girls who dump them. And look, there's no doubt about it. There's definitely guys who can seduce chicks and get over on chicks. Absolutely. But a lot of that stuff is guys just basically the girl already liked you. So it didn't really matter what you said. As long as you didn't say nothing stupid and did nothing stupid, you was going to get the draws because she already liked you. And that was it. She was already attracted to you. She already liked you. There was no game. There was no secret. You met a chick. She liked you. You was playing a role. She ignored that. She completely sidestepped all of that shit. She gave you the draws because she wanted to. And then you started walking around like, yeah, I gamed her. You're like, uh-huh. What do you mean? She's like, what do you mean you gamed me? Like, you didn't game me. I wanted to fuck you from like the first 10 minutes I met you, and so then we fucked. And that was it. You didn't really do anything. Like if anything, you almost talked yourself out of it. And when you see like real predatory chicks, that's really what it boils down to. Is guys mostly talk themselves out of it. They don't talk. They rarely talk themselves into it. They'll talk themselves out of it with their bullshit game. But the real thing about the red pill is the shit tests. Girls who play games, that stuff is real. The shit testing is real stuff. There's quite a few things in the red pill that are real that people have noticed because they notice patterns. But we can't get wrapped up in the personalities because getting wrapped up in the personalities is going to let you down every time. Yeah, Pearly Things is absolutely doing that. There's plenty of women who built their entire platform off of red pill content, quote unquote, or trad content. Look at Lauren Southern. Sad what happened to her, but look at Lauren Southern. It happens. It happens. Females can't be cucks. That is incorrect. Women can't be cucks. They're called cuck queens. And it's basically women who are interested in watching their husbands bang other chicks. It sometimes is a fetish, though. Just like I think the cucking in general is a fetish. It's a real femme sapien admitted to Monkey Branch, and people still donate to her. That's the thing. Like, look at Amarath. She blamed all that shit on her husband. And then she continued doing the shit after the husband supposedly left. But it was all her husband's fault. It was her husband forcing her to do all that stuff. Wear bikinis and do all this shit. She lied. Either she lied or she really didn't mind doing it. She just wanted to nuke his life. But here she is months later still doing the same stuff. Getting tweeted onto my timeline. And I'm tired of that fish-faced broad. I'm just tired of these broads in general. Like some of them are, I can respect the ones that are at the very least upfront, but there are so many of them that are basically snakes in the grass. And I'm not going to say don't trust red pill females. I'm not going to say that because like Karen Strawn has been legit. She's been legit for a long time and been consistent, but there's quite a few quote unquote red pill females, and then they'll fucking flip on you in a heartbeat, because they're at the end of the day they're females. And the males are not much different. Again, people don't really care about men. That's the thing. That's the consistent theme about anything that has to do with men. People don't really care about men. They're looking at it from how they can make money. It's all a hustle, one way or the other. Don't be surprised if, because you got Jason Whitlock talking about how much he likes Pearl. I'm thinking like it's going to be a few years, but he's really going to regret saying all his stuff he said about her, about how she's smart and how, she's got it all going on. I'm like, look, 5-10 years, you're going to wish you hadn't done that. She's going to flip like a fucking pancake. And I already know it. Because the stuff she said is too outrageous. It's too outrageous. When a woman says repeal the 19th, you should already be suspicious. I'm suspicious of a chick who says repeal the 19th. Even if she means it, I'm suspicious about it. Because why would she say that? She's being paid to. Said the biggest fall from grace is probably Hunter Avalon. Went from being a Christian conservative, then got cooked by male. Destiny. Even though Destiny is already a left winger, him being a cuck is absolutely, it makes people not take him seriously. So no matter how smart the guy is, as soon as you be like, you're a cuck, like that's it, right? And he tries to rationalize it. Same shit that Adam 22 tries to play. I'm in control because I know what's going on, and you don't control people. Yada yada yada. Yeah. Whatever you say. Whenever a man don't even have any control over his own household, I don't want to hear about your political opinions. Your political opinions are trash. You don't have no control of your own household. You don't even know if a baby that's going to be born in that house is yours or not. And you have no certainty. Holiday Heart was him coming out. He's legit gay. Who? Ving Rhames? It's inevitable, man. That's why I stopped watching a lot of red pill content. When when I think it was Turd Flinging Monkey who used to do MGTOW content, he was very entertaining. Him and one of his guys he used to have on the show all the time got into it. And the guy said they fell out because Turd Flinging Monkey started doing like the blow up dolls and the sex toys, the sex robots or whatever the fuck he was doing. And the guy was like, "Look, that shit's weird. I don't want nothing to do with that." And I was like, I can understand that aspect of it. That it is odd for him to suggest that men should get sex robots or sex toys or whatever. I get it. But that was like the last gasp right there. Because I was like, look, he saw an opportunity to stab Turkey Flinging Monkey in the back and he did it. Just did it. Because he saw an opportunity. It wasn't about the red pill community or the MGTOW community or whatever the fuck. He saw an opportunity to snake a man and make more money. Or at least try to expand his reach. And he did it. Look, the guy was doing the whole sex robot stuff before he picked up whatever. I'm trying to remember what his name is, but he started doing that. He was doing that before, you know? Like, this whole thing has become a way of shaming people. And shame actually still works in the male circle. It doesn't really work in the female circle because they have a hug box. You know, women have this support women. It's not always 100% true because usually women will support women doing um, destructive things as a way of competition. So you'll see women support women twerking and doing porn and all this kind of stuff as a way of these women not being competition later on, you know? And men do it too. You know, men will always support that, you know, you should have more than one wife and all this kind of stuff as a way of lowering your value to your family and to your wife and your children and all this kind of stuff. Because any man who will tell you to risk destroying your own family, that man don't like you. Period. That man says, "Oh, you should go and bang all these different. You should have 4 or 5 different chicks." Like if you got one chick who actually likes you and willing to wash your underwear and spit babies out for you, you should be fine. You don't need more than that, really. You know, trying to be greedy and have 3, 4, or 5 because you think that's gonna make you alpha. And some guys trying to talk you like you can't get another chick. You married the first girl you met. That's what he used to say about like Ben Shapiro and stuff, right? He married the first girl he met. He's got like 5 kids with this woman, and he's a multimillionaire, and his family's straight. He ain't do anything wrong in my book. You know, he married the first girl he had sex with. So, so what? What are you saying? You had sex with all these women, and now your life is dysfunctional. So I don't want to hear it. Again, if your life is a complete and total wreck, I don't want to hear your political opinions. Your decision making ties into what you were doing when you were single, and if you were sleeping around, doing drugs, fucking off, and then you continue to make bad decisions in terms of who you married, who you chose to have children with. I don't want to hear your political opinions. I really don't. Because you obviously are not a good judge of character and you're not a good judge of policy. If I would suggest every boy, you fall in love with a girl, she fall in love with you. I don't care if you're 17, go get married. And hopefully it works out for the next 40, 50 years. I would much rather you do that then go sow your royal oats, son, and then you end up with 3 kids by 3 different women, and you're consistently broke all the fucking time. No. Why would you tell a man to do that? Why would a man suggest to you, and I don't give a fuck what they start talking about in terms of, but Mongo, I'm from Africa and we have multiple, like, if you live in the United States, that shit will fuck you in the ass. Having multiple children by multiple different women will fuck you in the ass. Don't do it. I don't give a fuck what African country you're from. I don't care what your good book says. I don't care how much weed you've smoked and it got your brain thinking that you can handle 5 or 6 women at one time. In this country, if you have children by more than one woman, you can almost guarantee you're going to be broke. It breaks NBA players. It has broken people who made hundreds of millions of dollars. You will be broke. It's terrible for your family. It's terrible for your family. Anybody who tells you something that's going to ruin your family, they don't like you. Period. It doesn't benefit me. You know, I would rather everybody pair bond, have your one significant other, and call it a life, man. That's easier. That's much easier. This idea that you should have multiple women, you should have a woman that's going to cook for you, and you should have a freak broad, and you have a book poetry. I'm like, oh, that's utopian mumbo jumbo, man. All that shit. It's not. You're not picking fruit. These are people. You can't trust all of these women like that, man. You'd be tied up in a fucking knot messing around with all these girls. And these girls are not like, you could have shacked up with the one chick who could stand your dumb ass. But because you've been watching red pill content and thinking you should be banging supermodels, like, you're not going to bang supermodels. You're not going to even be around them. You can't afford to be around them. So why even be bothered? Anybody who tries to tell you about, it's, I've been banging 10s 7 days a week, all that Andrew Tate shit. They ain't doing nothing but trying to ruin your life, dog. Even if it's true that that's what they're doing, you can't do that. You might have to get a little girl who got a fupa. She got a nice little shape to her. She got a fupa, but she might be in your age bracket. Maybe she ain't doing exactly what she wants to do in her life right now. You might have to help her a little bit. Hopefully your family works out. Instead of you being out here trying to chase these R&B singers and shit, these bras don't want you, man. They're not interested in you. You stack boxes at Amazon. She don't want you. What the fuck you listening to Andrew Tate and Rollo Tomasi for? Go get you a girlfriend. Stop listening to these idiots. They don't know you. They don't know your situation. For rappers and stuff like that, they can juggle Lauren London and all they want to. Yeah, she's fine. They just gonna toss her back and forth between the two of them. You're not gonna be in that circle, so don't even worry about that. Go and get you a nice little girl who's got a nice little job and settle down and shut the fuck up. Period. Let that be that. Build your life, and hopefully, some other nigga who stack boxes at Amazon is not gonna fuck your girl, because that could happen. Don't worry about some dude like her boss fucking her or something like that. Don't concern yourself with that. 9 times out of 10, a woman is not going to even be in a situation where she's going to get fucked by some rapper or something like that. 9 times out of 10, you're not even going to be in that situation. Dope boy, maybe. Dope boy, if she still goes to clubs and she's likely to hang out with some dope dealer, drug dealer kind of nigga, maybe. Maybe she fucking somebody in the office or something like that. It might happen. But a lot of the stuff that these dudes have you worried about, you don't got to worry about that shit, man. Because she's never going to be in the circle to fuck all those dudes. And you're never going to be in the circle to fuck all those broads. It's all just thinking about people who are in the extremes. The average person is not going to be in these situations. If you were in college, I don't know. I probably wouldn't get married in college. Because that's when chicks start having their whole phase, really. But then there's some really homely student college girls who they go to class and they have a little job or whatever. And that's all they want to do. They don't want to go to the campus parties and like sometimes you might have to just go get you a boring girlfriend. That's it. Get you a boring girlfriend. Stop trying to get the baddest bitch in the club and go get you a boring girlfriend who wears flats. You know, you might be able to get her to wear lingerie every once in a while. You know, you know, but all that, you trying to go and get, some chick who looks like she's been on Love and Hip Hop. That broad's gonna cheat on you. She gonna chew you up and spit you out, dog. You're not ready for that. You have to talk to the average man. Is not ready for the super predatory female. For starters, he's not even on her radar because she's going after ball players and she's going after niggas with money. So you're not even on her radar. So if you keep trying to talk to these bras who got like these 6-inch nails and their hair is more expensive than the pants you got on, why are you even talking to that girl? Leave that girl alone. She's in a different league. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say she's in a different league. She's on a different level. She's looking for something else. She ain't looking for you. All right. So once you realize that you need to, like TLC said, fish in the streams, in the rivers, and the lakes that you used to, you ought to be okay. The problem is when you think you want to start shooting above. You want to start, I've read Rational Male. I'm going to go and, bag this bikini model. That broad is not thinking about you, man. Probably studying you, dog. 99% of dudes have barely got jobs. You barely got a fucking job. She don't want you. She looking for a man who got disposable income, who's going to dispose of that income on her. Stop trying to fuck strippers and porn stars. Unless you got money, they don't want you. All right. So a little chick who might be at the bookstore, maybe. She went to college and you know her from college, okay. She's into the same kind of anime, video game shit that you into, fine. But if she's one of these, I gotta go to the club, I gotta go hang out, she's the life of the party, social butterfly, dog, she gonna eat you up and spit you out. And that's when you get all heartbroken and shit. Because you was playing in the wrong sandbox. And it's unfortunate, but that's the nature of the beast. And you don't need to write a book on that subject. There's no book to be had, B. It's simple. 99% of people only date the folks they have access to anyway. Why do you think that college educated people seem to marry people who are college educated? Like when we be making these jokes about. I saw it today. There was a big book sale downtown. I mean, not at downtown Detroit, but the Eastern Market. Saw plenty of interracial couples. Chicks with their hair dreadlocks tied up on the top of their head, white boyfriend. Why do you think that is? She went to college. There was no homeboys in anything that she went to college for that was interested in her. But a white man was. He was interested. He's willing to pay her attention and all this kind of stuff. The dudes are being taught to overlook the good girls or the boring girls. Girls who like to read, girls who just want to go out to the movies and go home and watch Netflix and all this kind of shit. You look over her. She's not exciting enough for you. You got to go out and get you a baddie, a 10, some of these Ruby Rose looking hoes. And then once you do that, they fuck over you. They drain you dry. And then you go through these YouTube channels talking about how women ain't shit. It's like, no, you made terrible mistakes. You listen to the wrong people. Get you a boring girlfriend. It's literally that simple. The more boring she is, the better. If that bitch got too much excitement going on in her life, don't even be bothered. Because I'm telling you, if she's a boring girl, she's going to be happy to hear from you. She's going to respond to your fucking text messages. She's going to respond to your phone calls. And she's going to want to go hang out when it's time to go hang out. If she's too exciting, she got too much other shit to do, I gotta fit you in somewhere. Then you're gonna be constantly paranoid that she's out doing something else. And then 9 times out of 10, she might be. Because then she's going to find out you're boring. Oh, you want to go do blah, 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 blah. I don't want to do that. I want to go parachute sailing or whatever the fuck. And you're like, what? I don't even know nobody who do anything with like that. Expand your mind. Fucked everybody on the goddamn airplane. No, it's dumb. It says Rollo is a dude who's married for 20 years trying to tell men about the red pill. Like, I legit think that he did a lot of research and stuff, but it's people who think that he knows everything that's a problem. He only knows his experience, you know? And his experience is going to be based off of where he lives, the kind of person he is, and the decisions that he made. Most people don't have the same benefits, you know? Like, there's a lot of young guys out there today. They are in a very terrible situation because pretty much everything is sexual harassment now. You know? So they're jacked up. They can't even flirt like we used to be able to flirt with chicks. You know? You can't even do that anymore. You can't even make jokes with chicks anymore without getting kicked out of the college, you know? So all that stuff needs to be adjusted because if you're not explicitly the kind of man that chick wants, you're going to end up getting your whole life ruined. WG Phil says, I tried the unimposing girl. They tend to either get snatched up, hung out with thoughts and became thoughts, or they have audacity to call you boring and she can do better. Yeah, I mean, again, what makes you think that women are any different than you? Her friends are in her ear telling her the same shit that Rollo Tomasi and all these motherfuckers are telling you. That's the thing. Girl, you cute. You don't need him. She's got to have a strong mentality to be able to overcome that shit. There's been plenty of, again, female friends are just as bad as male friends. A lot of these chicks out here are just as bad. Like a lot of women have podcasts right now where they give people absolutely terrible advice, absolutely awful advice about but the difference is women have more of an ability to act on their utopian concepts than men do. You know, men sit around and they daydream about fucking all these tens. These chicks ain't thinking about you. Meanwhile, a girl can sit around and think about fucking all of the hottest guys on earth. And if she gets within arm's reach of him, she might be able to get him. The difference is how he's going to treat her, right? He's going to fuck her and ghost her. That's the part she's not waiting for. You know, she can get the dick. That's the easy part. The other part is she's thinking that he's going to put her behind a white picket fence and fill her up with kids and all that kind of shit, and that's not what's going to happen. She can get the dick. She ain't going to get nothing else, though. And that's the problem. Like, men can't even get the pussy. You thinking that, oh, I'm going to fuck all these bad bitches. No. Nope. You're not. Guarantee you're not. While your boring girlfriend, if she wanted to, she can go fuck Usher. Usher can fuck your girlfriend whenever he wants to. But that's it. She ain't gonna get nothing else. She might get herpes. That's it. If you think you about to live lavish because you fucked one of these ball players or something like that, no, probably not. His income gonna be divided by so many different women that you're not gonna get shit. And that's usually what happens. These dudes have a couple of years of earning a really high income, and then it's split by 5 or 6 different women for 5 or 6 different reasons. Alimony, child support, all this kind of stuff. Next thing you know, he broke, she broke, and all y'all broke. Ain't none of them got nothing. The NBA might as well start up a goddamn college fund for ball players' children who they can't take care of, you know? But the women can get it. Women can get it. They can get the dope boy, the dude with money if they wanted to. They can get it if they wanted to. But how is he going to treat her? That's going to be her problem. He's going to text her at 11:30 like, come through. And she's going to be like, why? What do you mean come through? We could have went to the movies earlier. I was busy. Come through. And if she don't come through, he going to call somebody else to come through. And that person go come through. You know? Like, that's the difference between men and women. Women can actually act on their fantasies if they wanted to because getting dick is easy. Dick is that's why it don't cost shit. Like you can't selling dick is hard, because there's so many people willing to give it to you for free. But when it comes to the man that they want, they're willing to do whatever. They're willing to share that man. Okay? That's why women they all claim that they can't find a man. It's because they're willing to share a boyfriend. They're willing to share a dude who will take care of them. The issue is he ain't gonna do nothing but smash and leave. Or smash and leave her on red, you know? And then she's gonna have to live with that. Then she'll come back and say she was sorry and that she misses you. Hey, big head, you know? That's the shit. That's the shit you should worry about. Like I definitely go by the birds of a feather concept. If she hang around thoughts, 9 times out of 10 she is one. You know, she can say, "Oh, those just my friends." This ain't a birds of a feather. 9 times out of 10, you choose your friends based off of similar interests. If you're both hanging out at the club, drunk all the time, titties out, yeah. Come on, let's be real about it. You're full of shit. Darren Miles says, I remember a girl telling me I was boring because I didn't want to go out smoking in the damn hookah bar. I'm telling you, man, you got to know your people, man. Like, if you met her in the hookah bar, that'd be one thing. If it's just she randomly want to go to the hookah bar, like why? And why do you want to, like, why is it boring that I don't want to do that particular thing? Let's go do something else. Let's go do something else. Like, there's 100 things for people to do. They always fixate on one thing. You have to wonder why. Why? WG Phil says the red pill does have credibility as hypergamy, monkey branching, and the 9 concerns women are looking for a better option. That is true. The red pill is 100% on about that, especially monkey branching. Monkey branching is probably the most devastating thing that can happen to you, because hypergamy and monkey branching is like violent. A woman who is just with you until she finds somebody else, that's brutal. That's brutal. But it happens literally all the time. We'll have you financially supporting them and everything. And then they jump on to somebody else and then leave you looking stupid. They'd be like, I need space. I don't think we're right for each other. That's it. The red pill is 100% on that. Women will, of course, deny it because they want to think that they're virtuous. And in the past, we used to think women were virtuous, but we know they're not now. So they're cutthroat and they're vicious and they're not quite violent, but they're not far from violent. And they will ruin your goddamn life. But you got to be smart. Again, get you a boring girlfriend. It's that simple. Chick don't want to do too much. She got to have something going for herself, of course. Got to have a good head on her shoulders. She's not gonna have the biggest tits or the best ass on the world. Because if she got all the physical attributes, she's gonna go chasing for a high value man, and then you're gonna be in all kinds of trouble. I've seen but the thing is, a lot of the baddies, quote unquote, they're boring girls. They are. They got nice little shapes and all this kind of stuff. They get taken care of. But then you listen to them or you read through their timeline. They're just boring girls. They don't really want to be in the situation that they're in. but they consistently believe that they're supposed to be doing something. They're supposed to be doing what they're doing, or that there's a positive to doing what they're doing. But in reality, they want to be like a boring housewife. You know, that's what they want. But they're not willing to admit that to themselves because it might mean dating a guy who stacks boxes at Amazon, and that's not what it's a status class based thing. You know, if I'm thick and I got nice tits and all this kind of stuff, I should have a high value man who could take care of me. Okay, he will, but you're gonna spend holidays by yourself. You're gonna be constantly trying to find out where that nigga is on Valentine's Day because you ain't gonna know where he is because you're a boring girl. You look good, but you're boring. And he's going to be hanging out with strippers and porn stars and all that kind of stuff, and they're going to be busting it wide open. And again, there's going to be people who are willing to do stuff that you're not willing to do, and you got to be okay with that. You know. So, I mean, I heard Casually Comics say something I'm going to use in this context. You know, we're alive. We don't like what we don't like. You know, that's kind of how it is. But girls have been the thing with girls, and the difference between girls and men is socialization. Girls get real big egos if they're born with nice shapes, you know, or they work out or something like that and they've gained a nice shape. They think it's a substitute for a personality, and they just a bad bitch who just snaps pictures on camera, and that's it. Like, she can't talk to you about anything that's entertaining or interesting. She's not really funny. She might be outgoing, but she doesn't have an outgoing personality. You know, she goes out because she can get free drinks, and so ballers can give her money and all this kind of stuff, but that's about it. She's not really much of anything. She's just a clingy, boring girl, and she's going to get her heart broken. She's going to end up somebody's baby mama, and that's just kind of how it is. You're a smash and dash. If she just accepted that she's a boring girl, she'd get herself a boring boyfriend, and that would be like the best thing for you to tell people is to get you a boring boyfriend. Stop trying to chase niggas who are you can't find him. You don't know where he is. He won't tell you what his real name is. All this kind of stuff is like, come on, you know, why just get you a boring dude, a blue collar guy who works a steady job, doesn't make terrible decisions, he doesn't have stupid dumbass fucking tattoos, he doesn't, revel in negativity and all this other kind of stuff. Maybe he's, you know, not as much of a hustler as the next guy or whatever. But you ain't never got to worry about him running out on you. You ain't got to worry about him kicking your ass. You ain't got to worry about him having kids all over the place. Just accept that and be done with it. But these chicks, they get big egos. And they tend to believe, especially since dudes are constantly bigging women up on Facebook or Instagram. Oh, boo, you so hot. Boo, you beautiful. Let me take you out. All day, every day. That would get you the big head too. Again, women are human beings. They just interact with the world differently. If somebody was constantly blowing smoke up your ass, telling you that you're beautiful and that you deserve the entire world, you would believe it eventually. If all you had to do was post a picture and you get like 100 people telling you how beautiful you are, you would tend to believe it. They can't all be wrong, so you're going to believe it. If the first time you get into an argument with a guy and everybody says he's wrong because they want to fuck you, you're going to be like, everybody must be telling the truth. You know, it's the same thing. They interact with the world differently, and we know that. We know that women interact with the world differently. They don't exist in reality. You know, women's reality is different from men's reality, and it's just a shame that some women just don't know that. Let's get ready to wrap this thing up. I've been at this for 2 hours. Darren Miles says, why do women go after dysfunctional men if they know the results or they know the guy's particular behavior or probably more money and excitement, but it's got to be more to it. It's called the Beauty and the Beast situation. She wants to be able to tame the beast. That's the female fetish. It's to have a dude. See, they call it the mean girl stuff when it comes to boys, right? You want to get you a mean girl. I mean, she curve all these dudes by being mean to them, but she's nice to you. She's very sweet to you, right? It's Beauty and the Beast when it comes to girls. They want a dude who's out there. He's out. He's wild. He's doing his thing, but at the same time, he comes when I call. He brings me flowers. He's very sweet to me. And dudes will do that for a little while until he gets the pussy. Then he gets enough of the pussy and he don't want to do that anymore. He's like, fuck it, I don't need to do this anymore until I'm done. You know? And then she ends up looking like an idiot because she didn't laid up and had a baby with this dude or whatever while he was being nice. And now he's denying the baby, don't want to talk to her, and out in the wind somewhere. Because she thinks she can fix him. But part of that is the Beauty and the Beast thing, but there's another part of that where she takes on an almost motherly role to this guy. You know, she looks at him like something broken and he needs to be fixed. I can fix him. I can put him back together again and he will love me. In reality, that's not how it works. And it doesn't work the other way with men too. Men keep thinking I can fix her. I can help her and yada yada yada. Look, I've fixed chicks before. I'm not married to none of them because clearly it don't work that way. She'll talk to you. You can be her emotional tampon all day, but she will not have sex with you because that's different. That's a different relationship. Having a friend that you can talk to and tell them your deepest, darkest problems, your desires, and they can work you through it. That's what a friend is for. Once all of that stuff is somewhat resolved, they start chasing niggas that they want to fuck. And it starts a whole new cycle all over again, really. Because usually once they hit rock bottom, and they get their feelings hurt, that's when they start finding that friend dude. Oh, I just want to talk. And then they start talk. You being an emotional tampon, listening, giving advice. Several weeks go by. You ain't nowhere near the pussy. She met somebody else. And she's telling you about him. It's like, come on, get the fuck out of here. No way. Whatever. Anyway, WG Phil says maybe they didn't work hard for sex and they haven't had the ability to be interested. That's exactly the problem. Pretty girls don't have to have personalities. They get by for being pretty. There's chicks who are they're just asses on social media. They don't know anything. Right? They don't know anything. Nobody's ever asked them a simple question outside of what you doing tonight or anything like that. Ask that broad what she thinks about what's going on in the Ukraine or something like that. Her brain might explode. Like steam might come out of her fucking ears like Gone from Hunter x Hunter or whatever. She don't know. Nobody ever asked her about no shit like that before. She gonna be intimidated. She ain't gonna know what to think. She gonna think you're boring, you're stupid. Why do you care? That's when you have to start talking about love and hip hop and all that kind of TMZ shit. The Don, this generation of females are always on the defensive. I feel like the 90s girls just go with the flow, but now they try to find the bad shit. They were trying to find it then too. It was easier to find. WC Phil says, where's the best place to find a boring girlfriend as a 22-year-old community college student? Community college girls are not affected by sorority life yet. Well, at that point, you would want to look in places that they would be, but you don't want to look at places where there are large numbers and a lot of competition. So in your age bracket, there's going to be a lot of competition for 22-year-old girls. She over the age of 18, so you got to worry about dudes in their 30s trying to fuck her. And they're probably going to be a little bit more stable than you because they have a little more life experience. They probably going to have a little bit more money. That's going to be that's going to be the most imposing thing. If you're going to be dealing with dudes who are older than you trying to bang the same chicks that you're trying to bang. That's why so many young guys can't get girlfriends now. Because niggas my age, almost 40, is like, shit, she 23. She got her own house. She got her own little apartment. She got a nice little job. I'm about to go play sugar daddy. And it works. She's legal. Dudes is going to go roll up on the 22-year-old trying to bag her. But try to find places that have similar interests where there won't be as much competition. Like that's going to be if you go to like a club or something like that, it's way too much competition. It's going to be way too many guys who got more stuff going for them than you do. And ultimately, they're going to win out in the end. Like, I'm not saying be negative or whatever about your looks and all that kind of stuff, but take into account when you're fishing, who else is fishing? Where else? Where are you? When you go hunting, it's good to find hunting grounds that other people are not constantly at. So if you're gonna go try to bag 22-year-old chicks in the club, there's dudes up in there 30, 45, whatever, trying to fuck the same chicks. It's too much. You don't have enough money. You don't have enough experience. It's gonna go over your head. But if it's like some kind of on-campus event, where there's not likely to be too many people in there that are so much older, then that might be a good place. Like when I was in college, we used to do these events. We was doing, it was frat shit, sorority shit, but the on-campus events was the best place to pick up chicks because there wasn't anybody coming from off campus. So there was no 30, 40-year-old sugar daddies popping up, trying to game, quote unquote, the girls or whatever. You could talk to them about something interesting that they know about, that you know about, and you are in a similar place. They know you go there, they go there, you got somewhere to build from. So on-campus events is a good place to start. Another good place, I wouldn't say online, because I'm a big proponent of, if you're going to talk to people, talk to them in person. I'm talking about like trying to date them, talk to them in person. That all that online stuff, it gets a lot of competition online. You trying to slide in her DMs, there's a bunch of dudes sliding in her DMs. Trust me. So you got to take that into account. But she's more likely to remember you if you approach her in person and talk to her in person. So have confidence. And just make sure it's somewhere where there's not a lot of people and it's not overstimulated. So loud music in proper context maybe, but most of the time no. But be a little bit more outgoing. Maybe, I don't know if there's like a community college. They probably don't have like a dorm or anything like that. But community college is not bad. It's basically like high school though. So I don't know if that's giving too much. Do you think porn is causing the rise of cucking? No, I don't. I think it's always been there. It's always been there because women ain't never been faithful. There was a reason why we used to do the things that we did in terms of controlling female sexuality. I don't think those two things are related, but I do think ultimately porn, especially amateur porn, where now you have chicks who look just like the chick up the street doing pornos, that has led to a lot of disrespect for women. Now you used to be able to see porn stars and they were like some of the baddest hoes on earth. Fake everything, but my goodness, everything was in its proper place. She was thick, she was pretty, everything. You didn't know she was batshit and you didn't care. But now these broads look just like some chick you might find at Walmart. Ill built, ugly, but she's willing to slob knob on Pornhub. So so it's gonna take a different relationship. Najee Savage says, go to events on campus, something simple like art or anything that you're interested in. Don't go bar hopping or house parties. Those are one night stands. Yes, absolutely. House parties are almost always going to turn into a trouble because anytime where there's loud music and people, a lot of people, it's going to be a issue, a situation. So, but yeah, like I like artsy chicks, poets, writers, stuff like that. Those tend to be they tend to be somewhat outgoing, but they tend to be boring girls. You know, they're into like politics and stuff like that. So, but artsy chicks are freaks. I'll tell you that they're freaky. But I always like artsy chicks. They're dynamic. They talk about a lot of different things, but they're not very outgoing. They're often quite shy, actually, and that's a good thing. Because if she's too outgoing, she's too loud, and all this kind of stuff. It could be a negative. Special J says, soon as a chick asks how much something costs, I get skeet skedaddle. Oh my goodness. Just get you a boring girlfriend. That's all I gotta say, man. Stop, stop trying to chase waterfalls. That was the best thing. That's the best advice you could ever get from a female. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if a man didn't write that damn song because that's the best advice that I've ever gotten from a female. Is don't go chasing waterfalls. Mongo, you don't believe in online dating. I look. I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna say I don't believe in online dating, but I'm gonna say what I said just a minute ago. Consider the competition. Consider that if you're online, she has access to all of the men online. It's that simple. She has access to all of the men online. So why should she listen to you? Why should she talk to you? You're a boring guy who stacks boxes at Amazon. There's going to be dudes on there with fake profiles of them driving Lamborghinis. There might be some guy on there for real who has a six pack, who works out 24 hours a day and eats low carb and all this kind of shit. He looks great and he might be broke, but she might be enamored with his look and she's got access to him. Again, you have to consider where your hunting ground. What are you doing? You can't steal her attention away from these other guys. So I'm not going to say don't online date. I'm just going to say be very aware that you're probably going to get overlooked online unless you have something about you that's going to make you stand out. And a lot of times people's personalities and how they talk and things like that, they don't shine via online. You know, sometimes people do better over the phone or they do better in person. It's where you can let your charisma show, where she can see how you dress, where she can hear your tone of voice and your inflection. You might be able to tell a joke, and it's funnier if you tell it to her rather than you text it to her. Because you text it to her, she look at it and think you lame. If you tell it to you, if you tell it to her rather, say it over the phone or whatever, she might think it's funny. Again, you have to be conscious of these sorts of things. But just take into account that I assume everybody is a regular fucking guy. You know, you're not too ugly, you're not too broke, you're somewhere in the middle on every range. You're not super intelligent, super genius. You're not the dumbest motherfucker in the world either. So you're somewhere in the middle on everything, which means you're an average fucking Joe. Average fucking Joe is going to have a hard time even getting the average girl because the average girl has access to dudes who are on the upper level of um, every axis. Najee Savage says chats like this make me miss Kevin Samuels. His talks with men were top notch. Yeah, like I didn't watch a lot of his stuff, but him telling people to be realistic, especially women who have children and men who are broke and stuff like that. That stuff is facts. It's like 100% facts. You have to realize what you're doing. You know. Apparently, Lisa wrote it with Marquise Etheridge and Organized Noise. Well, not surprised. Men were involved with the writing of that song. It's the best advice you can get from a woman. Just know what you're doing, man. And just know that sometimes these women aren't out to hurt you. They're just doing what they've been socialized to do, and you'll be okay. You know, a lot of the malicious women are not out to get the average guy. They're out to really predate on the really rich men. So the average Joe will actually be spared a lot of the gold diggers. A lot of the really hardcore gold diggers, they're not looking for the average guy. You know, some guy who works in a grocery store or a supermarket or something like that. You're not even on her radar. You know, since there's nothing to get she can get from you. There's nothing that you got that she wants. So it's mostly ball players, and those guys are in trouble. But that don't mean that average chicks don't use people too. They do, but they tend to be a little bit more 50-50 with it. You know, you might actually get laid for all the stuff that you do for them. She still might monkey branch, but at least you would have got a decent relationship out of it, as opposed to the gold diggers who you don't get a decent relationship out of them. You might have banged them a couple of times, but she was just banging you until she got pregnant. And then maybe she tricks you into marrying her or getting you to believe that you love her. Or maybe you're just a sucker for love, who knows? And then you end up broke for the rest of your goddamn life. Like, most women don't want that, especially average women. Average women do not want to be baby mamas. They don't want to be divorcees. Understand that when you're dating them. They have the white picket fence lifestyle in their mind. You can't provide that, but you can provide stability. And what I mean by you can't provide that, I mean is it's harder and harder to provide that white picket fence lifestyle, you know. But you can get her close. Like, hey, maybe we won't be able to own our own house for a while, but we got this nice little apartment. We can raise a baby in this apartment. We can have a nice little family in this apartment. And I would rather have that than have nothing. And then find you a chick who feels the same way. But if she absolutely positively got to have her own backyard and 2 or 3 cars, and like, okay, go ahead and chase that. Because the older, especially if you're a young guy, the older you get, the more you realize that shit ain't happening. The economy is not going to allow for that to happen, unless you really find a really really good job, or you are an entrepreneur and you create one. But 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen for you that way. Um, some people say don't settle. I say absolutely settle, because your dreams are always going to be better than your reality. That's why they're dreams. If you continuously chase if you want to chase a dream, as long as your dream doesn't involve other people, you ought to be fine. But if your dreams involve everybody else making the same decision or decisions that you want them to make, that shit not going to work out. If you dream of this perfect girl who's got the perfect temperament and she's going to be perfect for you, you're going to have to take some L's on that. You got to choose your L's. You know, it's not going to be bad. You're never going to get a perfect person. There's no such thing as a perfect person. You know, there's no such thing as a perfect person. She's just good for you. Some chicks are just broccoli, man. They just good for you. They supportive, and that's it. Yeah, women being told not to settle has made them bitter. That's because they're stupid. If you explain to them the same way I explained it to you, like, look, okay, let's say you don't settle. Let's say you go out and you get the rock hard rich nigga. You think he gonna why should he settle down with you? That's the Kevin Samuels question. That's what made him so famous and why people got so mad at him. Why should he want you? What are you bringing to the table that he should want you? Pussy. That's it. Okay, he can get pussy from anywhere. Okay, so at that point, she's not bringing anything to the table. She's setting herself up for failure because nobody is being honest. You know, and I'm not saying tell the girl that, hey, you're of average intelligence, you're average looking, you got an average body, you ain't getting any you ain't getting any younger. Come on over here and be my wife. I'm not saying that. But the thing is, if she's smart, she'll realize that. She'll realize that you're a good man who treats her right. And that's rare in and of itself, is that you want to build something with her. Wow. And then if you could say, look, be honest, we might have to build this thing together. You know, I might not be able to pay all the bills. I'm just being like general. You know, I don't know your situation, but looking at society and how men are right now, a lot of men have problems with this, with the ability to provide. You know, they need their wives to work. They need their girlfriends to work. That's just, so support her in her work. It would be nice if you could set up, hit the lottery or whatever, and then your girlfriend don't have to work. She can lay around and get her feet done all day. If you can afford that, fine. But most people can't. Most people are going to need that girlfriend to go to work. So that means you probably need to help her get her a better education so she can better her job. You know, she's going to have to help you get a better education so that you can get a better job. Y'all going to have to build together. You know, two is better than one. But too often nowadays it ends up being one sided. And it ends up being either the man taking care of the woman or the woman taking care of the man. And either way, that shit's not going to work out. All right, y'all. I'm about to go. Najee Savage with the last question. He says, it's crazy that those type of women had smoke for Kevin Samuels, but not Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I think he's still a virgin. He's like 22. He don't know shit about anything. Don TV says females are addicted to attention. Absolutely. That's the number one thing you need to realize right there. Women love attention, but only from the right person. You got to make sure you're the right guy. If she's really responding to the attention that you're showing her, show her more attention, and then she'll do more for you. When she starts doing random shit that you didn't ask her for, then you'll know that, you're on the right track. Like, as somebody who's fucked up a couple of really good relationships, I tell you right now, they start doing stuff for you that you didn't ask for, then you're doing good. That's when you got yourself at least a decent woman. She might not look the best, she might not be the best cook or whatever. Pussy might not be the tightest in the world. She might not even be untouched. She might have had sex with a couple of guys. But you're in a situation that's working out for you, and she likes you, and she's boring, and she's not gonna embarrass you, make you look stupid in public. Then settle down and be cool. Start raising some babies, because that's the important stuff right there. You trying to think that you're a fucking rock star and continuously believing that as you get older and older is ridiculous. Nothing sadder than these 40-year-old niggas who try to dress like they're 20 years old, and they even adopt the language, and it's sad, like, especially when you're in your unk era, like I am. I don't have gray in my beard or anything like that yet, but I accept that I'm in unk territory. I'm almost 40. Most of the people that I talk to and mentor and stuff like that be in their early to mid 20s. I'm a big brother. I'm unk. I'm not the young guy anymore. So I can say stuff like, look, get you a boring girlfriend. I had a couple. I dropped the ball on them. It is what it is. But they don't stop being boring women. There's still boring women out there who go to work every day, go home. They sit around, eat ice cream, watch TV. They ain't got nobody to talk to. They ain't got nothing going on. They wish they did. But now that they're older, they got fewer men chasing them around. So it's actually a little bit easier, when the woman gets like 36 or something like that. There's fewer guys after her. The guys who are after her are now significantly older. She starts looking at sugar daddies and stuff like that now. But you don't got to worry about these young boys trying to fuck her unless she's like pursuing them. But anyway, let's go. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.